Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, welcome to today's program. My name is Warren Stokes, and I'm going to be your host and presenter today. I'm going to be sharing with you by far the most popular topic that I've ever presented, and I've done about 80 or so of these webinars now. But the most popular topic has to do with how to tame your Outlook inbox and how to basically get more out of Microsoft Outlook, and we're focusing in today on Outlook 2016. I think you're going to really enjoy the program. It is being recorded. You can also submit questions or comments through the chat control panel. So let's get started. First, I wanted to enunciate the goals that I have, and my overarching goal is to really add some value to your day and hopefully help you be more productive and more organized, and if you're in business, make more money. So one of the key concepts is just understanding what Outlook is all about. So I'll be covering some of that. And by the way, I'm going to move fairly quickly through these slides, and then we're going to demonstrate all this in a live instance of Microsoft Outlook as we demonstrate the functionality that I'll be talking about. But this is really important concept because you really need to be able to manage your time effectively. Another concept is really, as the main theme here, is just gaining control of your inbox. It can be quite a monster sometimes. If you're like me, you might receive over 100 emails a day and process just about as many outbound emails. And of course, you also have to manage your calendar and tasks. But it's all about enhancing your productivity. But one of the benefits, you'll be able to impress your friends and colleagues with all this knowledge. A little bit more detail on the topics today. Understanding Outlook functions, key part of it, but using color to be more organized, as well as what I call the magic of rules. You'll see how that works here in a moment. We can learn how to do conditional formatting, how to insert content from templates throughout Outlook. It's very handy. A little bit more about the quick access toolbar and how to leverage that. Understanding the power of tasks and also how that differentiates from the use of a calendar. And finally, we're going to be showing you how to almost magically transform emails into contacts, tasks, and appointments with just a couple of clicks. Pretty awesome stuff. So the basic idea of Outlook is that it will help you with communications. Of course, that's your email. Everyone knows what email is all about. Outlook helps you manage your time. That's what your calendar function is about. It'll also help you get things done, and the combination of all these things really results in getting things done, but the task function in Outlook is kind of key to that. And of course, contacts. Many of you use the Outlook contact form, and what that does is it allows you to keep kind of a digital Rolodex of all the people in your world. I've come up with a concept I call the power of the 4Ds, and to start with, what I'd like to share with you is if you follow these 4 concepts, I think you'll find that your productivity is greatly enhanced. So whenever you get an inbound email, you do one of 4 things. You deal with it. You delegate it to someone else. One of my favorite things to do. You delay it, or you delete it. You're basically doing one of these 4 things. You've effectively started to tame your inbox. So again, if you always take one of these actions, you're going to be amazed how much your productivity increases. The use of color is a very important concept. Color can be used to organize your tasks. It can be used to help identify different attributes of contacts. It can be used to organize your calendar. And the magic of rules has to do with auto-routing emails into specific folders and also formatting them so that they pop right out with different colors and fonts in your inbox. Pretty awesome. Conditional formatting can be done throughout Outlook, from emails, from appointments. So you can change the color and font of inbound emails to your desire, and I'll be showing you that. You can color appointments automatically, which, as you'll see, helps you stay organized and see how you're spending your time. And another concept is to insert content from templates so you don't have to type in repetitive information over and over and over. You can do this in emails, you can do it in appointments, you can do it in tasks, you can even insert content into contacts if that makes sense to you. The quick access toolbar, it's a almost hidden little feature in Outlook. Very useful, saves you time, get things done a little quicker. We'll get into that, how to customize it, how to show it below the ribbon, and then the concept of transforming emails into contacts, tasks, and appointments is a very handy function. So let's go ahead and get started. I'm going to just switch our view here, and you'll now see that I'm looking at my Outlook calendar. And one of the concepts here is to use color to get more organized. So as you may know, a lot of functions, or pretty much all the functions in Outlook, can be color coded. Now, I'm going to use a couple examples here, but if you look at my calendar, all these colors have a specific meaning to me. And you can assign your own meaning to these colors. For me, the green ones are sales calls with customers and prospects. The orange ones are preparing for a meeting or preparing for some action. The purple ones are different types of follow-ups, and so on. Now, one of the things you can do is just simply create a new appointment and use the category feature to color code it. You may know that you can create as many color categories as you wish. So by selecting the categorize function and go into all categories, you can see all of your list of categories. And then you can also create new categories, such as a webinar example. And I'm just typing in the name of the category so that I can refer to that later. And maybe I want that one to be kind of a blue. So now I can choose from all of these different color schemes. You can even add multiple colors to an appointment, as many as you wish. And you can see how it then color codes it for 3 different things in this case. When I save and close that, the last one is the predominant color, and the other 2 are the secondary colors, but you can still see them through a kind of an overview of your calendar. And that's all good. You can manually do this all day long. I'm going to delete that one, but I'm going to show you something really cool here. Did you know that you can actually automatically color code your calendar by simply putting in it'll recognize a keyword. So for example, if I put the word webinar in my subject line and I save that, you'll see how it automatically color codes it bright red. Pretty cool, huh? So in other words, I didn't have to manually select that color. It just simply automatically put it in. I'll give you another example. And I'll show you how we set this up here as well. But let's say I wanted to create a meeting that was a staff meeting. Okay, do the same thing, just an Outlook appointment. Now this one's going to be automatically color coded bright yellow. Awesome. So you can kind of see where your time is being spent. The yellow ones, in my case, they're non-revenue generating activities, so to speak, internal staff meetings. I want to make sure my whole week doesn't get, filled up with those, right? I like to see a lot of green ones because that's my income generating meetings and so on. So how do we do that? Well, what you do is you go up to your ribbon and you go into your view to set up an automatic color coding of your calendar. So up here on the top, you'll see the different tabs. I'm in the view tab, and I'm going to go over here where it says view settings and click that. Down here, I'm going to select conditional formatting, and you can see all the conditional formatting that I've done. That staff meeting, you can see how it's colored bright yellow. If it says demo in it, it's the bright green. Sales call, blue, and so on. To add one to this list, you simply click the add button and you give it a name. So let's just say I'm going to color code one that has to do with following up. And I'm going to make it purple. So the condition is if the term follow up is in the subject line, you can decide what you want that keyword to be, then it's going to be color coded automatically purple. Okay, so I just created a new one. Now if I create a new one, I'll do that just by way of example here, and I'm going to put follow up in the subject line, create a new appointment, save and close, and as if by magic, it's colored purple. Sweet, love it. Such a nice little function. You can use color throughout Outlook, as we go into the different functions. Today, I'm going to kind of go from calendar to task to contacts, email, and kind of go through those in an organized fashion. Well, let's talk about how to use color for email. So notice this is just my inbox, but some of these are colored bright purple and they're bold font right in here. So that's interesting. How did that happen? Well, I did the similar thing, but now I'm in my email view. And I went up to the view. I select view settings. And in this case, I select conditional formatting. Here's all the conditional formatting I've already set. The one we were on is called a software advice lead. And I changed the font to a larger font, 14 point, and I changed it to purple. You just do that by selecting the font, the style, the size, and the color. And what that means is whenever I get and by the way, the condition here is that the word in the that it's searching for, the subject in the subject field, is the word software advice. That's one of our lead vendors, by the way. So it's important to me because, you know, some types of emails are more important than other, and I want some of them to pop out. So you can kind of see how that works. I have other folders where I've stored other things, and you can see another quick example of that. Here's some of my web leads are all colored green and bold. Again, so that when they arrive in my inbox, they pop right out at me. Awesome. So it's just a way to kind of start taming your inbox and actually kind of give you a way to quickly identify emails that are important to you. Now, it doesn't have to be a keyword in the subject line. It could be who it's from or any number of criteria. So again, we just went view settings, conditional formatting, add a new one or select one that you already have, select the font, the style, and the size, and the condition. And here's where you can put it either as search for the words in the subject line, or you can select subject and body, or frequently used text. You can do from or to. So these are ways to help organize your inbox, kind of start taming that volume of email that we all get. Pretty cool. Now let's talk a little bit about what I call the magic of rules. So Outlook has a very useful function. Many of you, I'm sure, already use this. It's called rules. And I can create rules to do a number of different things, but the most common thing that you want to do with an email is you want to automatically put it in a certain folder. I'm going to explain how that works. So to create a rule, you just say create a rule. And let's just say I wanted to put all of the emails from this example. Actually, I got a better example. Let me do this. Let's say that you got a request for a quote. Here's a good example. And I wanted to create a rule so that all emails having to do with a request for a quote, again, I went to rules, create rule. I want it to look like for the subject line that it contains request for quote in the subject line. It could be anything you want, but this is a good example because requests for quote, of course, are a good thing to get usually. And I'm just going to say select the folder that I want it to go in, and this is all your Outlook folders over here. You can see I got delegate, read letter, quote request. That's what I'd like to route them to. Okay, so now I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to select run this rule to the messages in my inbox already. All right, so it just processed that rule, and it took it out of my inbox automatically. And as you'll see, it's going to look for any email. I have about 2,500 emails. That's kind of my personal limit in my inbox. And now, from now on, any emails that I get in my inbox that have the term in the subject line request for quote are going to be automatically routed into this folder called quote requests. There you go. That's how it works. And by the way, if you haven't read it, it'll be highlighted with the little dark blue number. It shows you how many you haven't read. Now, while this is an extremely useful function, you also have to bear in mind that that means you have to kind of keep track of these other folders. So just bear that in mind. It's something to think about there. So the use of the rules can be quite extensive, though. You can do all sorts of other additional rules. So, for example, you might want an email that contains, the subject contains the term Independence Day, but if I go into advanced options, I could say that only if it has specific words in the body of the email. So Independence Day, and maybe I want the word closed as the other criteria. I'm going to add that to my criteria for the rules. So you can stack up these rules so that it gets very, very finite. And here, there's another sound or another option to do things like create sounds, move it to a specific folder again and other things. I'll just say play a sound. And now when I finish this rule, okay, see, there you go. It will then automatically play a sound when I get an email that has the terms Independence Day and the word closed in it. Pretty cool. Now, sometimes you can get carried away with rules. I've heard people say I use rules almost to a fault, but it's certainly one of the methods to tame your inbox by simply auto routing it. I'll give you another example. Let's say you got an email from Rusty Jones, and let's say Rusty Jones was my boss. I might want to create a rule that moves emails from Rusty into the folder called Read Later because it's from my boss. That's kind of a joke there. Anyway, a little bit of humor. We're going to move into a topic which is one of my favorites, and that is how to automatically insert content into various forms in Outlook, if you will. I'm going to start with a very simple one. Let's say I'm going to send an email to, I'll send this to Brad Pitt, one of my colleagues in Hollywood. But I've already sent this email 1,000 times before, so maybe I don't want to have to type it in. Maybe what I want to do is just insert content from a template. Now I could just go to Insert, and Outlook has a little function you may already be aware of called Quick Parts. You can actually create a library of content. Okay, I just inserted a block of content from a template. Again, I'll do that again. I'm in an email, ready to write it, and I've already saved these templates. I'm going to show you how to create these in a moment. And I went over here to the quick parts, and I selected the block of content that I wanted to automatically insert into this email. Maybe it's a meeting request or any number of things. So that's how you do it. Now, how do you create these blocks of content? Well, it's very easy. You just select an email you've already created or you create it on the fly. And let's say I wanted just this part of this email to be a new quick part. So I highlight it with my cursor. I go to quick parts and I say save selection to quick part gallery down here at the very bottom. And I'm going to call this feedback. It's one of the words in there. Okay. Now let's say I'm creating an email and I just want to insert that. I could go in here and choose it from here manually, go down to feedback, but there's a cooler way. I could just start typing in the keyword feedback and notice how it's predicting that I might want to use that template called feedback from the proposal. Boom, there it is. This saves like amazing amount of time over the course of a month or a year. I don't know how many hundreds of hours it's probably saved me, but I use it extensively. So the cool thing about that is it's not just for use in emails. You can also use it in appointments and tasks and contacts. Let's say I'm creating an appointment and I'm going to invite, let's invite Brad to this appointment again. And I'm going to start putting in the invitation. But now I'm going to type in the keyword agenda, start typing it, and see how it predicts that I want to put that block of content in there. So I put this now into an appointment. And of course, if I had a keyword in the subject line, it would automatically color code that as well. Pretty awesome. All right. And while we're on the subject, you can color code tasks as well. As you may know, tasks can be shown in your Outlook calendar view. I like to keep them both together because they work very well together, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit more in just a moment. But you can color code a task so that it's got a color coding to it, high priority. Again, that's just one of my color codes. Now notice how some of these have numbers on them. Let me explain why I've added a numeric sequence to that. What that allows me to do with tasks is not only color code, but sort by that. And you can see how all of my high priority ones, medium priority, low priority, are sorted automatically. And this is just my task list. I'm just clicking on tasks. But again, you can also keep your tasks kind of in a reading pane over here to your right of your calendar, which is what I prefer. And notice how those color codes show me what type of task it is. Purple I know is follow-up. If I open it, you can see it says follow-up. And you learn to kind of remember your color codes so you don't have to look them up. Green, demo, right? Purple, follow-up. dark green, low priority, that kind of thing. So all we're talking about now is using color to effectively help organize your information, both all in your calendar, your tasks, but it also works in contacts. I'm going to go into my Outlook contact view, and I'm just going to open up a contact, Brad Pitt. So I could color code all kinds of different things in here. Let's just clear all categories, and I'll show you how I got to that. To color code a contact, you'll see the little categorize function in the main ribbon, and you can say this is a client. This is a client that is in a certain department, IT. So there we go. Now I've color coded that contact. And by the way, if you're in a list view in Outlook, which you can just change, you can see those categories here in the list view as well. So now we've seen how you can use color to help get organized throughout all of the Outlook functions: mail, calendar, contacts, and tasks. Cool. One of the questions I get a lot about is, what is the quick access toolbar all about? Well, Outlook has a little function, and by nature, that quick access toolbar shows above the ribbon up here by default. And these you have to add things to the quick access toolbar. So if I wanted to, for example, add one of these functions like delete, I simply highlight that, right click, and say add to quick access toolbar. And now you can see that little X is up there. I prefer to have it below the ribbon. So no matter where I'm at, it's always below the ribbon, right handy. And to do that, you select that little drop down arrow and you say show below the ribbon. And now it's showing down here. It's a matter of personal preference. Doesn't really matter which one you choose. But that's how you can then quickly access all the different Outlook functions. And I'll show you one that's pretty handy. What if I wanted to, select a contact and do something like, create a meeting or something with that contact. You can just say click meeting and it'll create a meeting with that contact. A very quick way, if you're in your contact view, to create a meeting with a contact. That's just an example of that quick access toolbar. So again, the quick access toolbar by default resides above the ribbon, and there's not much in it. You just go into your any tab up here and any little icon, you can basically add it to your quick access toolbar. You can then also, again, show it below the ribbon if you prefer. There you go. So we're going to talk, I just wanted to kind of back up for a minute and talk a little bit about the whole concept of managing time and getting things done. One of the questions is, why is it then that in Outlook you have both your calendar and your tasks? Some people kind of use them interchangeably, or maybe they use one and not the other. But really, here's what I've learned after using Outlook for over 20 years, is what it really is about is making sure you get things done. That's really your task list. And if you keep a task list, one of the things that happens is when a task becomes late, you'll see that it will automatically turn red. Like if this one were actually due yesterday, call Brad about quote, you'll see that now that's one of the red ones here. A little business tip for you all. Little business tip, if you get too many red ones, you're behind. You got to catch up, okay? But okay, so the idea is that this is your to-do list. These are things you're going to do. You can set a reminder time if you wish. The date, of course. You can also keep track of whether it's in progress or partial progress. You can give it priorities and so on. And you can set the reminder time. But the key concept is these persist. If they get late, they keep reminding you by being red on your task list. Now, how does that work with a calendar? Well, a calendar has two functions, but overall it's to block off time to get something done. It's block off time to perform a task, if you will. Think of it that way. Unless it's something you can do in just a matter of seconds, one of the things you probably need to do is block off time to do it, like following up with someone or calling someone or things of that nature. So the ideal situation then is to set both a task and block off time on your calendar to do it. And here's why. Next week, I'm not going to be looking at my last week's calendar, but my task list is still there. They persist, and if they're late, they turn red. That is a very key concept for you all. So again, the idea is the whole overarching concept here is to help you get organized and get things done. The task list keeps track of the tasks that you have to do and sends reminders to you, and your calendar is used to block off time to do it. Of course, your calendar is also used for meetings with people, but that's not exclusively what it's for. It's to block off time to do something, whether it's meet with someone, prepare for something, follow up, or do most anything that you might have to do. Now, here is a very useful way to transform emails into various functions. So I'm going to just go into my inbox, and I'm going to say with this email from Rusty Jones here that I want to transform that into an appointment. Well, the one simple way to do it is simply drag that email over my calendar icon down here, and as if by magic, it creates an appointment. The content of that email is in the appointment already. Awesome. So now that would be on my calendar. I could also transform an email into a task. Similar idea. I drag it over my task icon down here, my task label. The content of the email is in that task. The subject line of the email is the subject line of the task. I'll just go ahead and create that again. I'll just mark it yellow so we can see it. I'll make it due today, and I'll make it low priority. It's just about somebody being closed. Okay. Now maybe I want a reminder, maybe I don't on that. So I just drug that email over my task folder. Now you're going to see it in my task list, which I usually refer to on my calendar. You'll see it right over here. You can see that it's colored yellow, and there it is. I'll mark it complete just to get it off my task list today. So again, what we're looking at right now is how to transform emails into appointments, into tasks. And here's something pretty cool. You can also transform emails into a contact. I'm going to use one that here in my web emails that I've got. So this person named Edward Fitzgerald sent me an email. Now I want to create a contact out of that. So how do I do that? Guess what? I just drag it over my contact folder. Now, in this instance, what you're going to see is that a different window pops up. If you're a Profit user, you're a Profit CRM user, which is our Outlook-based CRM, it pops up a dupe checker, so you don't inadvertently create a duplicate of that contact, but otherwise you just create the contact and it'll automatically fill first name, last name, and email address. And then usually if there's a signature line, you'll want to like move the address line over to the address form of Outlook, pick the phone number you want, and I'm highlighting and dragging. That's all I'm doing. Company name, and now I've just created a contact from an inbound email, and the content of that email is, if you want to keep it in the notes, it's the first note in your contact. Again, maybe I want to categorize that. Maybe I want to prioritize it and so on. And now I've just created a new contact. Pretty awesome. So that's one of the concepts of transforming emails into appointments, into tasks, and into contacts. There's another one. It's a little bit less known. You could actually let me go back to my calendar view. You could actually transform a task into an email by dragging the task over the email. The content of the task is in the email now. It's ready to send to them. You could create a task into an appointment by dragging the task over the calendar item. The content of the task and the subject line is all part of the appointment. So it's really quite flexible, and the main concept here is just simply saving you time rather than having to manually build a task, or in this case, an appointment, or even a contact. I could also create a contact by dragging a task over my people folder. So that's kind of the 360-degree view of it. And now I want to give you all just a little bit of bonus material. And this webinar is really mostly about Microsoft Outlook. But I wanted to explain a little bit about our company and about who we are. It's not a sales pitch, but just to give you a little more context for things you can do with Outlook. For one thing, there's a lot of what are called Outlook add-ins. You can see them by going into, you probably have some already, you may not even know about it. You go into File, Options, and look at your add-ins, and you can see all these different add-ins. Well, what are those? Well, those are plugins essentially, or add-ins to Outlook that provide additional functionality for other applications. One of them is called Profit CRM. I actually, of course, I sell Profit CRM, and we developed and market this program. Been selling it very successfully for about, I don't know, since 2002, a long time. And what it does is it basically adds functionality to Outlook. I'm showing you this because you may have a need for something as simple as more advanced contact management. For example, it could be that you have fields data that you need to capture about a contact that isn't available in Outlook. So this plugin, this Outlook plugin called Profit CRM, allows you to capture an additional 20 attributes of a contact. These are all customizable too, which is nice. Every business is different, so you can decide what kind of contacts they are. This would be your list. Are they an employee? Are they a consultant? A current client, a prospect, or what have you? And again, that's customizable. Maybe you want to know where did this contact come from? It came from a referral or a trade show or what have you. You can do things like rating your contacts different ways, maybe capturing things like hobbies or areas of interest. So all of these things become things that you can capture. I joke because Tiger Woods I got in here and it's got 3 hobbies: golf, golf, and golf. That's kind of funny. But in any event, basically you can capture all of these things, and they're very useful because then I could say, maybe I want to create a list of everyone who's maybe going to hold a golf tournament, and I want to just find everybody who's interested in golf. So I'm just going to show you a couple little things about Profit. There we go. There's the golf tournament list, and I wanted to also add a filter. So these filters are just additional criteria. I want to make sure they're all in California in the zip code 90210, because what I might want to do is send them all an invitation to my golf outing. And this is a Profit CRM function. This is not an Outlook function, but I could say I want to send a group email to everyone in that zip code that has the hobby of golf. And guess what I'm going to do here? I would use my my quick parts. Thanks for your interest in Profit. We're holding a tournament at the Riviera Country Club and love to have you there, right? And this is one of the functions that's very useful in Profit CRM. But I don't want to capitalize on all this because the main concept of this is Outlook. So I'm going to go check my questions so far. No questions. Let's see. We got no questions have come in yet. That's just dandy. Just to kind of review, and also we just kind of make sure we are tracking on all the things we just learned today. I wanted to kind of review that, and if there are any questions, feel free to put them right into the chat control panel. But really what this is about is taking more advantage of Microsoft Outlook. I find that people typically don't even really scratch the surface of it. So understanding the Outlook functions, how it helps you manage your time, very importantly, gain control of that inbox. That's something that we all want to do. And at the end of the day, it's going to enhance your productivity. So things like the advanced use of email, appointment, tasks, and contacts. But I wanted to kind of close with this, and I'm going to also be checking my messages here. This is really powerful here. I've seen versions of this before, but I just created this for this topic. But think of it: if you get an email, do one of 4 things, and you've tamed your inbox basically. Deal with it means do something about it. Reply to it, or delegate it to someone else. That's another thing that you can do. Delay it. You can actually put it in a folder to read later or deal with later. Delete it. Deal with it, delegate it, delay it, or delete it. And you'll find how it's amazing how much productivity you'll gain from that. So I did have a question from the audience, and I think many of you in the audience today could very well be Profit CRM users. So the question is, does it generate a first name when I do that? And the answer is yes, if you choose that selection. So I'm going to go back and demonstrate that little group email function again. Right click, send group email. Here is where you choose the salutation. You might want to say, dear Mrs. Smith might be the title of the salutation you want, or hello, first name. So notice when I click create email, it picks up on that. The first one is just where I'm putting in my content. And this is just basically, whatever you want to put in here, I'll put that, we'll put the thank you, thanks for your interest email in there again. Every single one of those is going to get an email that's personally addressed, and I can actually show that to you. So when I send that, all of those people will get that group email. Now I'll just show you the one. So that's in my sent items now, and you'll see that it says, hello, Anthony, thanks for your interest in Profit, and all those same people would get that. I use it all the time. And might as well explain one other thing. And by the way, yes, one of the questions is, can I send this to us so you can review? Yes. There's also a handout um, in the GoToMeeting control panel. It's the slide deck. You're welcome to do it, or just email me later. I'll post my contact information in just a couple of minutes. But what I was going to show you is what those emails actually look like if you send a group email. First of all, here is ones that I've sent out for various webinars. And you can see I have different folders. Here's one just for webinar invites. Here's one for the webinar invite that I sent out to the list of people that are on this call today. So you can actually see that if I open it, it's an individually addressed. I selected hello first name, could have said hi first name, or dear title last name, but notice it's from me to them. They're actually sent about a half second apart. These differ from, by the way, from emails that you send and receive through things like Constant Contact. Those are pure marketing emails typically, and they got the very high volumes of contacts. And but when you get these emails, the recipient gets them. There's a little right click to tap here to download, and little warnings, Java click warnings, and all this kind of stuff. And so while this has certainly a place in your email marketing communications, it's not good or bad, right or wrong. These are good for high volume emails. The ones in Profit are really intended for people you're already in touch with, presumed to be opted in, but it makes a much more personal touch when you send those group emails through Profit. Good for clients, prospects you're already engaged with, that sort of thing. So I'm going to post my contact information, and this webinar has been recorded, so you can access it later. You'll automatically get an email with the recording in it. They also get posted on YouTube. Just go to YouTube and search Profit CRM webinars, and you'll see you'll see a whole bunch of them. And this topic, I want to reiterate, is extremely popular and valuable. I've been doing a series of webinars, and the total webinar reach has over 800,000 views on this very topic. So I want to thank you all for participating today. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out and contact us, your account manager, or just reach out to me. I'm pretty easy to reach. Thank you all and have a wonderful day.